Hey y'all, Jamie here, proud 56-year-old trans woman from New Orleans. So, where last I left off, my ex husband Mickey's sister had been flirting with him and doing cocaine and partying with hustler boys in New Orleans, and I had had my belly full. Listen, it was bad enough that she was running around doing drugs and screwing all these little hustler boys. The part I wasn't having was her sick attraction and fascination with her own brother, my husband. That was not going to fly on my watch, even though I knew that my ex husband Mickey was not going to do his sister. I was not worried about him. Okay, first of all, he had pretty much only been with trans girls, and I do mean pre op trans girls, since he was like 14. So, other than maybe a couple of cases, but yeah, for him, sleeping with cis girls was experimental, and sleeping with trans girls was his real sex life. And that's just a fact. I'm not knocking him or reading him, it's just a fact. And so, anyway, so her husband, his sister's husband, comes down to New Orleans and gets her. He collects his wife and he takes her on back up to wherever they're from. And as far as I know, I don't think that there was any more communication after that. If there was, it was minimal. And I do know that Mickey lost touch with her again, I think, at least as far as I know. The man lied to me constantly. Like, I'm sorry, but love him dearly, but he's a big old liar, like a huge liar, honey. So, yeah, there's no telling. He might have kept in touch with her and I just didn't know. But as far as I know, they didn't. So now she goes away. And where Mickey's family is concerned, listen, I had been watching Mickey deal with his family for years at this point. His father, Mickey's dad, had a bad habit of ending up homeless and out on the streets. And Peter, Mickey's brother, would come get him, and the two of them would go look for their dad on park benches. And very sad. Like, the man was just had a very sad existence. I met his dad once. His dad didn't know my tea and was like, "Come here, let me get a good look at you." And I was like, "Oh, okay, hi." you know and then he was like, "Oh, she's much better than that other one," talking about my ex-husband's, yeah, another girl that he had been with named Blair, who was, yeah, a brick. Sorry, but she was a brick. Anyway, so Mickey's dad had passed away at a certain point. I don't remember which year exactly, but he had passed away. It wasn't terribly long before all of this that I'm talking about. And when Mickey's dad passed away, he had actually had a heart attack at the Algiers ferry landing. He didn't have his teeth in at the time. He wore dentures. He didn't have his teeth in at the time, and he didn't have identification on him. So he stayed in the freezer at the morgue for over a month before they found Mickey and his brother to deal with the situation. And yeah, that's what happened with Mickey's dad. So back to Mickey's brother, Peter, and his wife, Belinda. Okay, Peter, I had met Peter before I even met Mickey. Peter knew my tea. He knew that I was trans. His wife, Belinda, did not know. Neither did her family. I hadn't met her family yet at this point, but she didn't know. Belinda was kind of special. I like the girl, but she's kind of special, a little slow. You could tell it was legit slow. Like, you could just tell. And Anyway, after that whole brouhaha with Mickey's sister, Belinda found out she was pregnant with her first kid, right? So it was a big old celebration. Everybody's all happy. And we get invited over to Belinda and Peter's place to go to a celebration over there about the pregnancy. And her whole family's going to be there, and it's going to be a big thing. And so we're all sitting around and we're having a good time. And none of these people know my tea. They're all very religious, very conservative. They're very religious, and we didn't I was highly uncomfortable. Like, I if you're going to be in my life, I prefer to not have to play the games of, "Oh, I'm cis," and "Hi, nice to meet you." I prefer not to do all of that. I really do. I'd rather, if you're going to be a real legit piece of my life, a real legit part of my life, then I would much rather just be open and honest and let you know who I am. Mickey, however, he didn't want his family to know. And I respected that. Look, back in those days, I was in my 20s and I thought, I actually felt like it was a compliment back then Because back in my 20s, I felt like, oh, he doesn't want them to know because he wants them to just think that we're just any other straight couple. And oh, isn't that cute? And oh, that makes me so, there's a word that we used to call cis girls. Yeah, everybody knows what the word is. It was a slang word, but people get up in arms about it now, so I no longer use it. But yeah, anyway. So I used to think that it made me feel oh so cis, let's put it that way. And so I didn't say anything back about it. In those days, I didn't really give him grief about the fact that he didn't want his family to know my tea, other than his brother, right? Because his brother had had a sugar daddy of his own, a mess. Okay, his brother had his own sugar daddy once upon a time, so yeah, his brother had no room to like get judgmental or anything. So we're over there and we are hanging out with Peter and Belinda and her whole family, and the mother and the sister are looking at me and they're like, "So Jamie, it's your turn next. You need to have a baby next." And I'm like, no, that's good. I'm like from a child of abuse. I would not want to do that. I wouldn't want to risk doing that to another child. And they were like, oh no, 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 you would never do that because you're self-conscious about it. So that you would never be that way. And I was like, but no, I don't think I should. And they're like, well, don't you think Mickey might want kids? And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure if he did, it would be news to me, right? And they're like, well, what if you just absolutely happen to get pregnant? So I finally looked at them and I said, listen, if I should happen to get pregnant, I promise y'all I will keep it. And if y'all want to know what happens next, honey, y'all know the routine. Be here next time and I will too. I love you all. I love you all for watching and I love you for the comments. I will talk to you later. Bye, y'all.